welcome to the new edition of our show, Money Means Business. As we always say, in business means money. Stability and business mean a lot of money. Of course, there are other things that mean a lot of money, but right now we know we're focusing on that. And we are just talking money and business. We are broadcasting live from Cairo, the microcosm of the whole universe. As I always say, I did not say myself, so said philosophers and writers of old. I'm Narmin Azim, coming to you live with our guests who are going to be talking about a very important issue, and that is scientific research. What's happening in that domain? What's happening in Egypt these days? This is what we're going to be talking about. We have with us our guest, Dr. Ahmed Rashed. Dr. Ahmed Rashed, Director of the Center of Sustainability and Future Studies, Faculty of Engineering, Architecture, Engineering Department. Thank you, sir, for being with us. We also have with us Dr. Fouad Abu State, Professor of Political Economy, Harvard University. Welcome, sir, with us.
It's my pleasure.
And we'll go for a short break. After which we'll be back, we start our talk. Stay tuned to us. Don't go away.
Egypt has uniquely undergone two revolutions in less than 3 years for better living and the rule of democracy. Egypt remains, after all, as an attractive investment destination despite the difficulties it faced. Ahead of the 2011 revolution, the Egyptian economy was performing well, as confirmed by all KPIs.
We feel very confident about the Egyptian market. The main factors or the main pillars of the Egyptian economy are still here, and they're not going anywhere.
Egypt is a good place to invest, first of all, because it's a big market. It's a big local market. It's a good geographical location. You have good people, and the costs are competitive. So it's a great place. It was, it is, and it will be a great place to invest.
Welcome back again to Money Means Business. We would like to congratulate actually our Egyptian team, Al-Ahli Club, that was playing against the Tunisian Al-Taraghi Club and beat it 2-1 and reached the semi-final games of the finals, going to the African Championship. We wish Al-Ahli all the best, of course. And we're back again with our guests. So we have with us Dr. Fouad Abu State. Welcome, sir, again, for being with us.
My pleasure.
Dr. Ahmed Rashed, thank you for being with us. And we're talking about scientific research. But before delving into this, I'd like to ask you, sir, the tour of President Sisi and going to the Brexit and then going to the States, how do you see this affecting us?
Well, my congratulations to the Al-Ahli for approaching the final.
Yes.
Have also to win the cup. Regarding the topic that you mentioned, the President Sisi have spent more than 5 days in New York.
Yes.
Spreading around his efforts between the political, economics, investments, among other things. The visit, from my point of view, was very successful. It had present the people as simply with a good speech concerning the Egypt idea about the vision, how to look at the recent topics or issues that facing the world, particularly terrorism. Also, he meets with a lot of foreign investors, American companies, that try to encourage them to invest in Egypt. This also was great success, as I have read. Egypt, on the other domain, has made a lot of important steps toward the economic reforms, and most of the political and economic institutions appreciate the improvement of the Egyptian economy. The economic growth has been improved substantially. Unemployment been reduced. Still, inflation is a problem. And also the investment environment has been very favorable to the foreign investment and also to the domestic investments. All of the above, this is visits also had made Egypt to be in the scene, has met with the President of the United States, have discussed also mutual issues concerning the other countries, the two countries.
Yes, I will talk more in detail about the different issues, of course, concerning that. But sir, do you have any kind of comments on that?
No, 100%. We need to have this kind of meetings, dialogue with the international community for seeking for our, future and for our, country to be up to the standards as it should be.
Definitely. And talking about the future, since you are the head of the future, the Center for Sustainability and Future Studies, so how do you see, scientific research going on? Do we have it here? Do we really care? Do we give it the necessary care to develop it? What's going on in that domain?
I believe 100% that without scientific research we're not going to achieve. So it's the only possible route for change and for a future, stability as we wish. I used to say that the future is not a book, it's kind of a game. We have to think about it, and it's not only a future, a sustainable future. This is another thing which we have to think about it and do all our effort to achieve it. We already got some, steps towards what we so-called Egyptian Vision 2030, which is for sustainable development. And this is not an easy. It is not something to be adding as a top of the cake. It should be implemented. It should be within the cake. And this is not an easy situation.
Very fundamental ingredient.
Yeah, and it's again, if we are talking about projects and mega projects, it should be sustainable mega projects. And this is again scenarios. And the scenarios needs all different disciplines to share together, to have something to think. We already lived for 7,000 years and 5% of our land and use our resources for a limited time, but it could not give us any more for our future. So have to think out of with the 95%, but think in a sustainable way. It's not an easy journey.
Yes.
And that's why I used to say we are not going to invade the desert. We have to settle with the desert with communities. So with the future studies, we have to think for the builders of the future rather than building the future. And this is again could be happen within the education and the scientific research, but we need to do something positive now. So all the issues is how we could make sharing together to find starting points. starting point, this could be at least for me as planner, and we have to think about where the communities, where the resources. It's not agriculture only. The desert is not agriculture. So if we have, if the world, the international community, or the U.S. have NASA, this is NASA for the limitation of the Earth, so they have to think for the space. We should have the other situation with the limitation of the value. We have to think for the desert. I used to say that we should have this kind of national alliance for the sustainable advocacy for the future of Egypt, to think how we could build step by step with a long term, with a system, with using the vision which we already have, 2030, and work on it. And that somehow with conferences, with competitions, with something you could achieve, but still this is we need this kind of culture of sustainability. And the culture of sustainability, it will take time to spread it, because everybody is rushed. But again, if we'd like to achieve something useful, and so the scientific research is the tool. Scientific research in such case from all different disciplines, and they have to share together to think, to have this kind of the strategic. So there will be something very need, and then intermediate, then for the future, and step by step, I think we could do something like that. So when we have the Suez Canal, yes, the Suez Canal is something very optimistic, and it could do a lot of things, and it's very unique. We have the site, and we have the location, we have all the potentialities. But again, if we would like Suez Canal to be for us as Egyptians, we have to prepare our graduates, our manforce, to work, to be able to be with this kind of standards. Otherwise, some of the international companies, when they have looking for, they were going to have other people from China, from India, to work in this international, and that's happened when they have, I don't want to make it like the name of the company, but when they would like to have this kind of electricity, and we need people to work within, they found that they need
research
those who are already trained and able to work, not from the Egyptian market. So this is one of the things which, again, we did something with the engineering syndicate, like a competition for those people to think in all different disciplines, how to build, again, the men and the communities for Suez Canal. And it's such like that, we have many issues with the scientific research. We think it could be something different, and I'm sure that we will, if we could think about all, and scientific research is not only one institution. It's all. It's a language. So I think we could do something benefit for this country.
We'll go back again to like what is scientific research. She said it's not only one thing, so we can just expand on that.
Definitely.
And in order to do that, we need reforms, and we've been undergoing reforms since we passed through two revolutions, and a lot of work should be done in order to reach the level we want. So how do you see its reforms?
Well, sustainability is a magic word. It's used by the World Bank a long time ago. And it has a different meaning and different application.
Yes.
So sustainability itself is how your ability to contain with ability to grow and sustain your growth. Concerning the vision of Egypt 2030, concerning the sustainable development, it's a vision that encompasses all the sectors or the visions where we should be at 2030 in agriculture, in industry, in education, in health, and all other infrastructure projects, and all other sectors. Egypt's 2030 vision is being developed. It's not being provided or presented to people to solicit their opinion. I think we discussed this before with you, and I think my opinion is still we need to even more discussion of it. But Egypt will not be able to achieve sustainability without scientific research. And if you look at and scientific research can be translated into R&D research and development. And if we see how much Egypt allocates to R&D compared to other countries, it's a very small proportion compared to other countries. Then the first step is to create or allocate or improve the spending on R&D on all the various sectors that allows Egypt to be able to grow and to achieve sustainability growth. Because if you look at it in more in-depth vision, we are facing with a very critical challenges, the population growth. And when the population grows, you need to create jobs. You need to create investment. You need to create infrastructure. You need to accommodate them with health and education, among other things. All of the above needs very simple investment, and also needs a direct investment, foreign investments. Having said that, the scientific research also plays an important role on that, because how we can be able, like my colleague has mentioned, is to invent the desert. We live only on 5% of our land, and 95% is desert. And then if you reclaimate the land, it's very expensive. Then what's the other way, and what kind of crops that we grow, what kind of crops we export, for example, in the agriculture area, for instance. In the industrial area, what kind of competitive advantages that we, as Egypt, able to produce and export at a competitive price. And also, all of the above, how we take care of our citizens. Because if you look at it, I have heard the speech by His Excellency, what do you call it, the Prime Minister of Jordan, or he's talking about the challenges that facing the youth, the future youth. If you're talking about the future youth around the globe, you're talking about 250 billion people. Too much, almost one third of the population. Egypt also has been even better than this. More than 50% or 55% of its population is youth. Then what will be able to provide them? I mean, the speech provides the challenges that facing the whole country, how to be able to provide what the youth needs, how we challenge them, because the era that we are facing now is a very advanced, and improving very fast. For that reason, we need to keep up with it. Look how the people or the students deal with the new technology compared with the old people. It's different. For that reason, I think we need to keep up, and then without scientific research, we'll not be able to do so.
Any comments?
Yeah, again, when I'm talking about 2030, we will never achieve anything without the scientific research, but again with youth, as Dr. Fuad just mentioned. And that's why with all my colleagues, we tried to let 2030 be embedded with graduation projects, with PhDs, with masters, as a ceiling. And I used to say to the youth, you could add one letter, one word, one line, one paragraph, whatever. And by understanding 2030, we are sharing the responsibility. Maybe we are not, all of us have the opportunity to share with 2030. There is a lot of gaps still within the 2030. But it's still, at least it is kind of the government. They already have something as a reference for us to start.
We have a vision. We did not have a vision before. It was the vision.
And 2030 is something very limited.
Yes.
When we talk about a country, 2030 is something like tomorrow. And that's why it is responsibility for all of us, even to rephrase it again, understand it in a better way. And again, with graduation projects, we will create a type of jobs. The problem that many of those youth who are already been in universities, they have no idea what they meant. If we start 2018, he's going to graduate by 4 or 5 years from now. Nobody knows what is going to be the market and how who's doing to do what.
Very quick change.
This is again what is not being happening in other places. They are planning and they have the RT and they are being connected with the real need for their countries, with the companies, whatever, all the things, because they are aware. So we need this kind of awareness. And the scientific research is the option and the key for that. So again, I'm sure that 2030 it's not enough, but again, how we could translate 2030 to be something else, this is a responsibility for all of us. And the tool for that would be scientific research.
Well, we know, it should be translated, that would suit, in the way that would suit us. So who's going to be doing this?
That's why I said it's a responsibility for all of us. It's not top-down, it's bottom-up.
And not only officials?
Yeah, I'm saying bottom-up. That means all the institutions, all those who already have this kind of awareness, and they are keen that we would like to achieve kind of sustainability. And the sustainability not being to be a fashion word, but to be a meaning. So they are the responsible. And it could be, you could start by, the preschool. But we need to be assured that it will take time, and it will be for a system, a systematic way approach, and it's not for a government or a limited time. So that was already happened in many of those. We are used to say Korea or Japan or whatever. They have a vision and they have a mission and they understand that it's never been happened. And that's why 2030, China, they have already 2030, but they already started to think about 2045 and 2060 from now. So that's why it's continuous.
Yes. Sir, how do you see, now, all that, what we need, and we have, also debts, that, the more, we just go, we have more debts, it's not very easy. We're just, going into, we have very strict challenges that we're going through and we're trying to beat.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, one of the biggest challenges is to reform the education system in Egypt. I mean, education system in Egypt need to be reformed and need to be redirected and mean not to teach the student what to think, not how to think. How to think, not what to think. In Egypt now, all the curriculum is based what to think. We need to change this and make it how. The technique of thinking, the reforming of the mind. I mean, all of the schools now, they have a private lessons. Take it outside the schools. This should be also abolished. I mean, the schools also should be reformed and also should be redirected. At the university level, we spend a lot of time and efforts, and if you look, I'm not against the public education, by the way, but education should be paid for.
Of course.
In the States, where I have received my education, I paid for all my way to my education.
Yes.
And people should pay for their education. And those who are free should be the brilliant, who score the highest grade. And people can borrow money and then finance their educations. But because education are free, particularly on the public university, a lot of enrollments and efficiency being also dismissed. This is one front. Also another good front with the challenges is health. Health, another issue. Because if you have unhealthy population, you have a low productivity,
of course,
per se. And then if you have low productivity, whatever you do is totally wasteful of resources. And then the infrastructure, how you link the country together, infrastructure, roads, telecommunication, among other things, water, sanitation, among other things, are all necessary conditions to achieve the sustainable development. And also when the World Bank talking about sustainable development is how to use the natural resources and the endowment that the country has without sacrificing the need for the future generations, like using the petroleum or gas or oil or what have you. For all of this is also required to have a vision. And to me, there are two main domains that facing this. Trust me. The corruption and the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
The corruption.
Two enemies that should be killed.
Yeah, exactly. And on all of this, I mean, Egypt as a country spends a lot of resources on all of the above. The social sector, we call it. But if you look at now, the corruption has been reduced. Nobody disagree with that. But also more steps are needed. More steps need to be carried. More steps should be also limited the interaction between the government employees and the populace, the people, and also the bureaucracy. Egypt has very strong states. And then everybody did authority from the pharaohs. And we believe in that. I think we should break this cycle and then go and do things and do it good.
How do you see this?
I will end with pharaohs.
Yes, the pharaohs, very big history.
I think with scientific research, you have the option to have our, treasures of, of using our civilization.
Yes.
And that was one of the initiatives now with the scientific academy research. It's already supported under the initiatives of national initiatives, what I so-called civilization rights to build civilization. And this is for a simple that we should be compensated for all those who already benefit from our heritage using the original or the replica or even the souvenirs. We should compensate it because they already gain a lot of, billions of billions from that.
What about those who are building the pyramids, the Sphinx in their own countries?
This is again one of the things why we should be compensated, like in China, and I mentioned that in China, and I mentioned that with Luxor Las Vegas and many of the other things like that.
But how can you think, okay, I went to Egypt, in China, or I went to the pyramids in China, or I went to, I saw the Sphinx in China.
With this one, why I would like it to be like a scientific research approach. It is not like only for antiquities or tourism or law. No, it's again something that we should believe. So I started my dialogue when they said that if there are other places which they have the same copyright, the issue of copyright will not allow us to receive any of the return, because already copyright have limitations for time and or period. But I'm talking about civilization. And when I'm talking about civilization, I used to say that, okay, it is not an easy, but we are the only country which have this kind of Egyptology as a science. And there is kind of Egyptomania all over the world. And if we are not going to start, no other civilizations could start. And I mentioned this case issue in Italy and Greece and in Jordan. I've been invited now to go to Iraq, to the US, the dialogue. And I used to say that now with the scientific research, we are trying to make it something that we all as an Egyptian should be working to be respected enough to talk that we are the Egyptian, grandsons. And I never say Pharaoh anymore, because we should say that it is a great Egyptian civilization.
True.
For all the coming generations to be having the same, because now they play with the genetic and say that there is no pharaohs anymore, so the other, which is on the border, say
How come,
that
we
they
are the
builders.
grandchildren of the
They are
pharaohs.
builders. So we have to insist that it is a great Egyptian civilization.
Yes.
And now we try with the scientific research to have kind of competition for all the Egyptians after 3 months from the initiation of this campaign, which
Yes.
is going to start this month. We're going to have a competition for all the Egyptians, for all disciplines, to choose only one case, like Nefertiti in Berlin, or Metropolitan Museum they have up there, or a replica in Las Vegas, or whatever in China, and study carefully how we could receive and should receive and be communicate with the international community to get a revenue to save the heritage of us. It is similar like any company when they have this kind of copyright. So we are going to use the copyright disciplines, but with civilization rights as a new concept.
Now here you
And
need
then-
lawyers, you need lawyers. What do you...
It will have different angles.
Okay.
But again, the next phase is we are going to have an international competition for the international community, and we are going to ask them how we are going to get our rights from you. I used to say that if we are thinking about how we are going to gain for money, it will be something which we are going to achieve by 2030, because it needs this kind of long term. But from the beginning, we are going to say for our generation now and for the coming generations, this civilization is ours.
Yes.
Because if you are looking what happened already in Iraq or in Syria for abusing the heritage, you will find that in somehow there will be several times they would like to say that, okay, we shared in this civilization and there is no, so it is one step that we need to keep this civilization, say it's ours,
Yes.
to the international community with all the replica which has already have been
Of course.
here and there.
Well, it's, it's international heritage, but it's Egyptian heritage.
Yes,
so,
to be assured.
Of course.
And the scientific research is very important to do that.
Yeah.
And that's why this initiative, I think, it will gain a lot from all different point of views, and from the media to support, and from everyone who could have the responsibility to share in it, and then we could have this kind that our public opinion here and the international community public relation we are going to share, because in the end, who is buying the ticket to visit a replica or a museum? It's a man. So we'd like to communicate those people, which is not governmental, it's bottom up again, approach, to ask them that you should be assured that there will be a revenue return to the civilization which you love, for your grandson to find something to return if you would like to save the civilization.
Yes.
So it's kind of dialogue. We are not going to fight, but we are going to use
the best way is to reach
scientific research,
definitely.
and very calm and very true, but it's steps. And I think the scientific research now, when they supported that one, I think they are doing something which it is to be transferred, like someone try as a research to be institutional and governmentally be supported. And this is, I think, a very huge work. But again, I think we will achieve something, inshallah.
This is wonderful, out of the norm, actually.
You have a lot to chew.
Yes, yes, yes.
You have a lot to chew.
Yes.
I mean, I think this is, the idea itself to me just, it's an imagination. And then it could be true, but you have, yeah, I know, and Dr. Hawass will be happy with this.
Not that much, because he used to say that we should think that our replica and our heritage there is kind of promotion to our heritage.
So he's thinking that the opposite of what you're
I can say, but this is the point of view. But
Yeah.
I need to say that if we're going to say it's kind of promotion, why those places were not going to ask us to pay for promoting?
Yes.
Because the issue, you don't have the copyright first. I mean, you don't have most of the museum being also movable to the display in other countries. And to me, the idea deserves some way of thinking. It's a good idea. How you do it, I think you need a lot of work to do. I think it's you should.
And this is the scientific research rule.
Yeah.
That you are
But
going to
scientific
have
research,
different-
how would?
the first time I mentioned that was in Cordoba, Argentina, 2004. The people from UNESCO was there, and I have this kind of comparison between Luxor, Egypt versus Luxor, Las Vegas, and it was in the first you have
There's no comparison whatsoever.
And no,
Look at
it's
this, like,
comparison
hotel.
by how the replica
Yeah.
already gained that much of revenue.
Exactly, and
and
then
on
we
the
are
other
the-
side, we have a lot of suffering from the original.
Yes.
And even it's not, and even it was a debate here in Egypt, and then we said that we are going to have a law for copyright. But again, it's not a matter of law, because the law of Nevada is not going to be implemented in California. So it's not a kind of law. It's a kind of a belief that we have a right. And if we are going to have a right, we have to find
But how are you
a
going
right.
to convince people that you have the right?
This is again a part of scientific research.
But
and-
scientific research, they have to prove.
yeah,
But
we already proved.
I think
many of
I
these
think to me,
steps,
I'm not
and,
going to argue otherwise, because this is not my piece of cake.
Yeah.
You know?
Within the scientific research, they have several reviewers and debate to accept this initiative to be supported. Okay, it's not an easy, and there are many, replies. It's not a time to say everything now here, but again, we have to be assured that
It's not that
there is
simple, yeah, it's like-
there is a tool, okay, by using the scientific research to achieve something. It seems that like imagination, but it's going to be a truth.
Well, actually, we've seen lots of, things that were just dreams, but then dreams can realize, if you just pursue them mostly. So, that seems very far-reaching and like a dream, but then, we're going to realize that. There is a tool for doing this, and God knows, then we're thinking like this was a dream, but then it realized, someday, it could be very soon. We'll see,
Yeah, but before we pursue this,
Yes.
also we have to include this is on the vision to develop the tourism industry in Egypt. I mean, Egypt has 1/3 of the museums around the globe. And if you look at the number of visitors that come into Egypt compared to even go to Dubai, for instance, it's far big difference between both of them. And also, if you look at the beaches that we have, the types of weather we have, this is also can be linked to the tourism industry that Egypt.
But I'm sure this will have, would have a repercussion on tourism and everything, So
Exactly, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
Then economically speaking, of course, it's lucrative.
It's this is exactly what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because if you look at, for instance, before the revolution, we had almost like 14 million visitors.
Yeah, yeah.
This year, I don't know how, 7, 8, 6, 8, 7, 8, whatever it is. And despite the fact that you have the most beautiful beaches around the globe, you have the facility, the vicinities, we have our own weakness, by the way. I mean, we should not put our hands on the sand. We have problems. We have to work for it. But the issue of civilization of rights and Egyptianize what you call it, my colleagues, Dr. Ahmed Rashed said, I think the idea is deserve look at it. And all the new ideas coming by crazy thought. Well, I'm not saying this is crazy.
It might seem crazy or irrational, but then there's rationality.
Yeah, exactly.
I will mention something that I did my PhD about Luxor. And when I started within my colleagues say that we in Egypt have 2/3 of the archaeological remains and 1/3 in Luxor enough, and then everybody stopped me. Where is the scientific behind?
Yeah.
If you are going to think as a quality or quantity. So if you're going to say it's the greatest civilization, we accept. But when you say quantity, that means that you have been, this is again something with scientific research is something, put you under the question. So I'm starting to say, we used to say it because we have in all our, Egyptian, references, they said that.
Yes.
But from the scientific point of view, it's not like that. This is again what I'd like to say, that scientific research is going to give us more than we expect.
Yeah.
We are going to say that we promoted Egypt, we have to pay for that. Otherwise, they have to pay it because they are already benefit from our heritage. So if they are not going, we are not asking us to pay. There will come day that we have to ask them why you already benefit without return to the original.
Yeah.
And if we are not
But
going
how you
to
measure
ask
the benefit?
benefit, because commercially benefit.
How you measure my pleasure of seeing a nice museum?
Economically speaking, you know, it just is base.
Okay, huh?
Commercial benefit.
Yeah.
No, but,
Because there is a ticket.
yeah, but the ticket does not measure my pleasure.
Yeah. This is what I would like to say, that we are going to be in a debate with the international community, with the people who are buying the ticket, because this is again something which by scientific research we could convince them.
For that reason, we have to prepare for such a question that might be arises, because
That was
Just through research, you know, if you know the whole country is, you know, doing a lot of work, then you'll find the answers. Exactly. Among those brainstorming, big brainstorming.
The community
Yes.
for a competition
Yeah.
to think about ways and tools, and I'm sure that the young people have many different options rather than us, because we already reached somehow that it is will never happen. But again, with them. Okay, and I have many of the cases, but there is no time to mention that. Why
we will actually mention that, because this is very important as we go by. We will. Unfortunately, we came to the end of this episode. You honored us with your presence, Dr. Ahmed Rashed. Thank you very much for being with us. And Dr. Farouk, thank you very much for being with us. We have more encounters, you know, just, you know, for the, you know, like the improvements, how we're doing.
We need the media to support.
Definitely, it's very important. It's Egypt, you know, Egyptian media in Egypt. And we came to the end of this episode. As we always end, God bless our Egypt, God bless our Egyptian people, our Egyptian army, and our president. Until we meet again, ادخلوها بسلام إن شاء الله آمنين. Enter Egypt, inshallah, or God willing, safe and Mubarak Sha'b Misr. Blessed be Egypt, my people. On this note, I say goodbye. See you again next week.